All right. Well, I thought, Bo, we could take a look at Keir Starmer because he got. It's one of those typical things in YouTube videos. Keir Starmer gets destroyed. No, he did literally get destroyed by the press, like astronomically destroyed.
Almost
And it's quite
roasting,
fascinating.
Right?
Hey,
it was almost like a roast. They're roasting him.
It's honestly outrageous. Like, there'll be some people watching that may not have seen it. And I've got the video, so we're going to watch it together because it's heavily comical. But it's almost unbelievable that this is the things, these are the statements and questions coming from mainstream media to our prime minister. Not that I care. I'm not like, oh, the prime minister. No, Keir Starmer can go, into a hole for the rest of his life for all I care. But it is incredible to see because the mainstream media has, up until this video, actually, up until this press conference, been very much on side with Labour and Keir Starmer. Generally speaking, yes, they've poked a little hole here and there on certain bits and pieces, but the media as an establishment unit, I think I don't think it's not a stretch to say, yeah, they've been pretty much on side. They've been doing exactly what they're designed to do, which is bolster the narrative, the status quo, the uni party in power, just keep going down that terminal decline. And this is quite shocking,
It does seem like a shift, certainly, doesn't it?
Yeah, hugely. So let's have a watch. Just one, it's hilarious, but two, just a bit of context as well.
The problem is that Nigel Farage can approximate talking like a human being, where you just resort to talking points and dodging questions.
The speed of the decline in your popularity is historically unprecedented. Isn't this speech today an admission that you have failed and Nigel Farage understands voters better than you?
Nigel Farage has 5 MPs, you've got 403. Are you panicking because Reform is so far ahead in the polls, it seems? Is he living rent-free in your brain? You went to a state school, your dad worked in a factory, your mum worked in the NHS. So why has a public school-educated former city trader got more in common with the Red Wall than you have?
Reform UK say you're running scared of them, that you're sounding increasingly like them with some of the policies and announcements you've made recently. This is a speech that was very defensive, wasn't it?
Are you not worried people will ask why you're holding a press conference about Nigel Farage 4 years out from a general election instead of focusing on your plans for the country?
You went into the election promising to freeze national insurance and keep the two-child benefit cap. You since raised national insurance on businesses and now you're considering axing the cap. Isn't attacking Nigel Farage's economic credibility a bit rich?
Wow.
It's just like one after the other. Boom, 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 boom.
It's so funny. And he's standing there. He's such a weak man. He's so wet. Everything about him just exudes wetness, doesn't it? He's so weak. He's just such a grey Postman Pat, nothing man, nowhere man. But no, that was funny because those questions were coming. I think one might have been from GB News, but the rest of them were from completely mainstream media people, right?
Oh yeah, massively, yeah.
And if anyone who's watching it might be foreign, American, or doesn't follow politics, this is a shift. They weren't doing this before. They were softballing him. He did endless softballs, and now they're saying he's like Farage is living rent free in your head. There were some proper good dunks in there, weren't there?
Well, one of the best. I think it's the first one, and it's the best.
Do you think one of the problems is that Nigel Farage can approximate talking like a human being, where you just resort to talking points and dodging questions?
So they're not even being kind to Nigel Farage. They're like, Nigel Farage can approximate talking like a human being. Like, so he's not even like, he's at, not 100% legit human being. But you are awful, Keir Starmer. You are even worse than Nigel Farage's approximation of a human being. Like, that's savage. Absolutely savage. Now, this was the press conference that he called to effectively actually just talk about Nigel Farage and also challenge Nigel Farage to a debate. The Prime Minister is challenging. We're not anywhere near an election, or are we? We'll talk about that in a second. But the Prime Minister is calling a press conference to challenge the leader of a party of 5 MPs to a debate on live national TV. what is going on? Now, I said we're nowhere near an election. I would hazard a guess. Labour have said you need to get your shit together because we are tanking. So do something. And Keir Starmer and his team have gone national debate on TV. Let's go. Because Labour can just do a vote of no confidence and get rid of him. So I think that's probably why this is all happening. Because Keir Starmer's dead in the polls. Like he's tanking, absolutely tanking. That's my guess. That's my tinfoil hat theory. What do you think has caused all of this?
Okay, so there's 3 things you've talked about there I want to touch on. The first one, let's say then, is calling a debate, just calling on Nigel for a debate. So sometimes when you offer someone out for a debate, it comes from a strong position. If you're the lesser dog and you call someone bigger out for a debate, it sort of says, I've got nothing to hide. I'm so confident in my own position that I can take on any comers and bring it on, bro. I'm the alpha, right? But when you're the bigger dog and you call someone out smaller, and as Prime Minister, Keir Starmer is the bigger dog than Nigel Farage. If you do it the other way round, that's really weak. That's really weak. That's like saying I'm scared of you.
Oh, it's way worse than that. It's a true sign of submission. You talk about dogs, right? This is a bitch rolling over, presenting itself, going, I fully submit.
Yeah.
That's what this is, unequivocally.
And it does come from a place. It certainly comes from a place of that they did terribly in the local elections, or rather Reform did very well. And just the general polling, it obviously comes from just a straight up fear, politically, fear of that. And that it must be something that must be addressed and tackled. His strategy team or his policy team or whoever, his team around him, have obviously said, look, we need a proper strategy here. And our strategy will be to sort of confront it head on, talk about it head on. And it just looks or is weak. Yeah, kind of pathetic. And then what was the other thing you said? That was
well, I said that I said that this is so far out from a general election, or is it?
Yeah, right.
Because I do genuinely. I think that if Labour's obviously seen the polls, they've obviously seen the polls. They obviously know where things are going, and I think that they've said, look, you need to get this sorted. You are the leader, like sort it out, or we will do a vote of no confidence.
So the question of a vote of no confidence or an early general election. I mean, so I've got no special insight into the internal machinations that are going on within the parliamentary Labour Party and how likely a vote of no confidence is. I haven't heard any rumblings. That doesn't mean they're not there, but I haven't really heard any rumblings that that's sort of a realistic thing. But as I say, who knows? Maybe. The other thing is, I think that Keir Starmer, I'm pretty confident, in fact, I'm very confident that Keir Starmer is the type of politician, the type of leftist, at least left of centre politician that will never, ever, like a Gordon Brown figure, would never, ever give up on the game of politics before it gave up on him. I remember someone or other saying that about Gordon Brown, because there was always during Gordon Brown's prime ministership, the question of if and when he's going to call something early, or if and when the party are going to oust him against his will, or whether he would resign. And no, he's sort of that old school red that would never, ever just give up and step aside. No, he would have to be ousted. He would never call an early general election unless his hand was entirely forced. It is again like a Ceausescu. Now you have to shoot me before I resign. I'm not just going to resign. Never, ever. I'm pretty sure. I might be proven wrong. This might age terribly, but I'm pretty sure Keir Starmer's that style of politician.
No, I agree. I think Keir Starmer's an absolute tyrant, genuinely, I think he would rule the Labour Party with an iron fist, 100%. He is a savage tyrant within the Labour Party. I mean, we saw what he did with Jeremy Corbyn, right? Someone who, you know, he would have previously called a friend and was, you know, working with, just gone, wanted to get rid of that imbecile that can't even put the right shoes on, Diane Abbott, right? Wanted to get rid of her as well. He's savage, and I got no qualms with him doing anything to Jeremy Corbyn or the imbecile Diane Abbott. I don't care. So I agree with you that he probably does rule it with an iron fist and probably wouldn't relinquish power willingly. I'm just trying to think logically why you would do this, and that's one of the logical conclusions I came to, is that within the party themselves they're trying to do stuff. However, again, it's probably not true, and Keir Starmer is such a weak facsimile of a man that he thought this would look good. I guess that's probably actually more likely what it was. His team was like, yeah, challenge him to a debate. And so he was like, yeah, I'm going to. And he did. And it's like, yeah, you look like a fucking loser, man.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of things. One thing, just to say, yeah, he rules the party, the parliamentary party, as a tyrant. Yeah, when they won the general election, I think on the first day, or very, very soon after entering number 10, he removed the whip from like a number of MPs, like some of the more radical. I think Zara Sultana was among them. I just removed the whip from a few of them, a dozen or so. Again, that's reasonably bold leadership, just within your own party, at least. It's like saying, no, I'm going to be the sort of undisputed leader. I'm not going to take crap endlessly from some of my own backbenchers. So, okay, there's that. But then the thing where that very first question, that very first comment, where someone said, what did he say? It wasn't a facsimile of a man. They just said,
Nigel Farage can approximate talking like a human being,
like
whereas you resort to talking points and dodging questions.
So that's the thing that I'm pretty sure that most normal people that are even remotely engaged in politics, whether it's in the United States, Australia, wherever, I'm sure it's most of the Western world. One of the things that we're most sick of is being presented with senior politicians that are in government or in opposition who they're not normal. They don't come across and they don't speak like normal people. It's like they're trotting. Well, they are trotting out a party line that they won't. They just don't speak normally. Everyone's sick of that. We're sick of it.
You couldn't. Well, you don't glean anything. There's no conversation. They can't even talk.
Yeah.
Like there's no back and forth transactional conversation. You know, they're just, and you know that they're just talking absolute nonsense, trying to dodge and evade what someone's trying to ask them. And it's awful. It's Western world, people are sick of it now.
It's clear as crystal as well. So how many times do you get a politician on a talk show panel or a news panel or whatever, and they're asked a pretty straightforward question, and it's a little bit politically sensitive to give a straight up yes or no answer to it. They prevaricate. They answer a different question. And
they spend like 5 minutes talking about something else, and then the presenter will normally get quite annoyed with them and go, I've asked this. And they go, yeah, I'm getting to it. And then they still never get to it. And you're like, what was the point of you appearing?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, what was the point
of that?
I'm so, not to get too off topic, but I am so absolutely sick of mainstream media platforming these rejects. Right, mainstream media, and not even mainstream media, but the likes of Talk TV, which I would still say is kind of mainstream media, GB News, all these kind of websites, media outlets, whatever, should boycott them. Everyone should boycott them and be like, no, until you're going to actually engage with us properly, like a human being. No, we're not going to give you a platform to spew utter nonsense to people. No.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it comes from the whip system. Or other countries got other versions of the whip system. Comes from the idea that if you say you're a minister in government or in opposition, you're a shadow minister, and you say something on TV which is at odds with the party policy, that you're then in trouble with the whip and the leader of the party. People, you know, the average people don't give a shit about that. They don't care about your career.
No.
Right? They want a straight answer about something important that matters to them in their lives. Right? But the politician doesn't care about that. They care about how much trouble they're going to get in with the chief whip when they go back to the Houses of Parliament. Right? And people are just sick of it. And anyway, Keir Starmer is a perfect example of that. And of course, the leader themselves isn't immune from it. The leader themselves plays this game where they try and never look like they're contradicting something they said earlier, or try and never look like they've gone back on promises or anything. So they'll play these obvious word games. And Keir Starmer's one of the worst for that. He's one of the worst. And that's one thing you've got to say for Nigel. Although he still plays that game, he's just not as obvious about it. Quite often he will just give you a straight up answer, which might be politically not ideal, but he'll give you a straight answer sometimes. Right? So that's why he comes across as a bit of a breath of fresh air, because at least sometimes he doesn't do that.
And he's also not a human rights lawyer. People are sick of human rights lawyers.
Classic example of this. I don't know if you remember, it was many years ago. I think I was a teenager, so maybe you was a kid, so you might not remember. There's a classic clip of when Michael Howard was leader of the Conservative Party in opposition during the Blair years. And he was on, I think, Newsnight with Jeremy Paxman. And Jeremy Paxman said, "Did you threaten to overrule something or other?" There was some ruling by somebody somewhere. And the question was, did you threaten to overrule that? And Michael Howard says, "I didn't overrule it." And Jeremy Paxman says, no, sorry, that's not what I'm asking. We know you didn't overrule it. What I'm asking is, did you threaten to overrule it, though? And Michael Howard just goes, "I didn't overrule it," right? And they go back and forth, just that. Paxman saying, "No, did you threaten to overrule it?" And him going, "I didn't overrule it." And they go back and forth about like a comical number of times, like 8 times, 10 times. But it's a perfect example. You can find it on YouTube easily. Michael Howard. It's just that classic example of playing that game where you're not being a normal human being. Michael Howard in that moment was being this robotic automaton. I didn't overrule him. Like, it's not.
It's not what you're asked, mate.
Fooled by this anymore.
And
anyway, Starmer's one of the worst, isn't he? He's one of the very worst.
Yeah, absolutely atrocious. Yeah, but hey, we've had a good laugh at Starmer's expense. Got destroyed by the mainstream media.
It's just nice to see that they're not completely softballing him anymore.
Yeah,
it's nice to see they're actually throwing a little bit of a few hardballs, just a few curveballs, a little bit. It's nice to see. I'll take it.